Cubic version 16.0 release is loaded with new features, improvements, and refinements. These changes have come from the annual survey, technology advances, and requests submitted throughout the year. Our goal with updating Cubic is to keep the product technically state-of-the-art, more efficient, and more pleasing to use. Below are highlights of the major changes and new features found in Cubic version 16.0. There have been numerous enhancements made to customer maintenance. There is now the ability to store additional addresses for a customer. This could be used to store snowbird addresses. Additional addresses button next to the Show on Map button that is attached to the billing address 1 and owner address 1 fields. A customer can have up to 99 additional addresses. When the additional address button is pressed, a window is displayed showing all of the additional addresses available for the customer. The user will have the ability to add, edit, view, and delete addresses. They will also be able to move addresses up and down. There is also an assign function that is available when pressed. This will assign the selected additional address to either the billing or owner address depending on which additional address button is pressed. So as an example, if I wanted to assign the Grandview Avenue address to this customer, I can select Assign, and I will come up with a message saying, "Are you sure you want to assign the selected additional address to the billing address?" I would select Yes to confirm. Once Yes is confirmed, the billing address will change to the select additional address. You will now see in the background that that address has now been assigned to billing address line 1. Once these changes have occurred, under the Owner Information tab, underneath the Customer Change History, there has now been added a new tab for additional address changes. Any additional address changes will be listed inside of here. Using the Synchronize function, synchronize billing information and synchronize owner information, these options have also been added inside of here for the additional addresses. During the copy function, the customer's additional addresses will be copied if either the billing personal information or owner personal information options are selected. A new date created field has been added to customer maintenance under the Service Information tab. This date created will be automatically populated with the current date when a customer is added to the system. This date is able to be changed by the user. Inside of Customer Maintenance, underneath the Billing Information tab, when editing or viewing a customer, the Calculate Projected Penalty box next to the Account Balance field, when selected, we have added a new Projected Account Balance field. The Projected Account Balance field shows the projected penalty amount added to the customer's account balance. A Receives Refund option has been added to the Billing Information tab in Customer Maintenance to mark whether the tenant or owner receives the refund. Who is set to receive refunds will also show on the Customer List report. On the Customer List Options screen, when the Bill to Data option is selected, the Who Receives Refund will appear on the report. Inside of Customer Maintenance, underneath the Work Orders tab, a Work Orders button has been added to the system. The Work Orders button will not be enabled if the user has no permissions for Work Orders Maintenance. This Work Orders button will allow the user to jump directly to Work Order Maintenance from within the Customer Maintenance screen. This could be useful to see what appointment times are available when determining an appointment time for a new work order. Underneath the Automatic Payment tab, 2 additional ACH comment lines have been added to the Automatic Payment tab inside the Customer Maintenance. The additional ACH comment fields will also show on the customer list when the automatic payments data is selected to appear on the report. Inside of Customer Maintenance, when searching by meter number, inside of the grid now includes the serial number and transponder number fields. When choosing the serial number for the search, the meter number and transponder number will now show in the grids. And then when choosing the transponder number search, the meter number and serial number will now show in the grids. A remove exempt function has been added to Customer Maintenance, which gives the user the ability to remove the exempt settings for multiple customers at once based on selected ranges. The user first defines the ranges and selects which exempt option they want to remove. Then the user is presented with a list of customers or services which meet the range conditions. Then the user can select which of the customers or services in the list to have the exempt setting removed. The Print Customer Statement button on the customer screen has been changed to be a statement button. When the statement button is pressed, a drop menu will display with options of print statement and email statement. The email statement option will only be enabled if the system has productivity module and the customer is able to have the customer statement emailed to them. When the print statement option is selected, the customer statement print will be called like it was when the button was just Print Customer Statement button. When the email statement option is selected, the Send Email Customer Statement will be called when the customers book an account filled into the customer ranges. The way the multi-property bills are handled in the system has been changed. Now, instead of using the Billing Information Social Security number as the link for multi-property customers, a new Multi-Property Information tab has been added to the system, in which a new multi-property account checkbox with an ID has been added to link the customers. In order to best manage these customers, a new multi-property maintenance program has been added to the system. In this area, you will be able to view, edit, add, and delete your multi-property accounts. When viewing or editing a multi-property account, you will be able to specify the ID, name, address information, additional addresses, a social security number, driver's license, birth date, phone numbers, email, and a comment line for the property. The address that is assigned here is the information that will now print on all the individual bills and the combined multi-property bill. On the details screen, there is also a grid that lists all of the customers that are assigned to this multi-property. The grid will list the book, account, service address, balance, status, customer type, property type, and the last bill due date. There is also a field on the screen that lists the total balance of all the associated accounts. When using the ID change, it will change the ID along with the ID assigned to all the customers. During the 16.0 conversion, the multi-property file gets automatically created from the Social Security number of the customers that are flagged as multi-property. The detail that gets assigned to the ID comes from the billing information from the first customer it finds. There is also a Synchronize ACH button. When this option is selected, ACH information for the first customer with the multi-property ID will be loaded into the screen. A grid also lists all of the customers associated with the multi-property ID along with their ACH information. Once the information at the top of the screen is updated, the user has the ability to select which customers in the grid should get updated with the new ACH information. This gives the user the ability to change or add ACH information to customers, along with the ability to turn off ACH for customers. The customer change log will also be updated for any changes that are made during the Synchronize ACH. There have been a few changes to the customer list. A new multi-property checkbox has been added to the Data to be Printed area. When this box is checked, a line will now print specifically for the multi-property information. If the multi-property checkbox for the customer is checked and a multi-property ID is entered, additional multi-property information will also print on the report along with the phone number and additional address information. When choosing the option under Data to be Printed for service address data, a new line has been added under the line that starts with the city. This new line now contains the latitude and longitude along with the new date created field. A new additional address data checkbox has also been added to the Data to be Printed area. When this box is checked, the customer's additional addresses will print on the report. There is also a preference for the new additional address data option. When choosing to print customer labels, a new Manually Select Labels to Print option has been added. When this option is selected, the user will be taken to a screen showing all labels that will be printed, and the user has the ability to further select which labels should print. This has been added to both the laser labels and the dot matrix labels. The Change Customer Address function located underneath the File Utilities menu an additional option has been added to this screen. When the additional option is selected, the customer's additional addresses will be checked to see if the address 1 meets the condition. There is now the ability to email a PDF version of the customer statement to customers. The system must have the productivity module to be able to send e-customer statements. The email information for the e-customer statements must be set up through the system controls. Inside of the system controls, under the Features tab, a new button for e-customer statement information will need to be selected. From within here, the user will have to set up the email setup for the SMTP server, email address, and password, along with the SMTP port to send the information out. The user has the ability to append statement month ending date to the subject of the email line, enter in a message header, choose options to include in the message detail the book and account, month ending date and balance, and the service address. The ability to add a hyperlink to embed inside of the email message, and then an option to not embed fonts into the generated PDF customer statements. When this box is unchecked, the PDF will be smaller, but depending on the computer that the PDF is opened up on, the fonts on the customer statement may not look correct, and if the system is set up to print customer barcodes, the customer barcode will not be printed on the customer statement PDF if the fonts are not embedded, since the font used to produce the customer barcode would not exist on the customer's computer. The Send e-customer statement program has a task pane item on the customer's task pane. It's also a menu item on the customer menu screen. The program gives the user the option similar to the customer statement print to select which statements will get emailed. Only customers with email accounts assigned in the customer email or owner email fields can have a customer statement emailed to them. Multiple email accounts separated by a semicolon in these fields are also supported. After entering the ranges on the Send e-customer statement options screen and selecting OK, a screen is then displayed listing all of the email accounts that will receive an e-customer statement email. There is also an option to select accounts receiving statements. When this option is selected, the user can manually select or unselect email accounts that will receive an e-customer statement email. Once the Send Email button is pressed, the emails will be sent and the log will be generated listing all of the emails that were sent, and this will also indicate any that were not sent because of an error. Under Customer Reports, the route list, a new sequence option has been added to print and read sequence order. When this option is selected, the route list will print in order of the service's handheld read sequence that appears in the General Information area of the Handheld Information tab on the Service Information window inside of Customer Maintenance. To show you where that field is located inside of Customer Maintenance, the Service Information tab, editing or viewing the service, selecting the Handheld Information tab, it will use this read sequence field to sequence the route list report. When this option is selected, the layout of the report will be different from if it was used for book and account sequence. Also note that when the read sequence option is selected, the option to include customers that only have unmetered services will be disabled because unmetered services do not have a handheld read sequence field, and therefore cannot appear on the report when executed. Inside of the General System Controls, under the Controls tab, there is now options for the route list sequence to default either the sequence in Book and Account or Read sequence. Whichever option is selected here, when the route list option screen is open, it will default to that sequence. Another new option that's been added in this system is the return to this option screen after the report finishes processing. If this box is checked and the route list is previewed or printed, it will take you back to this option screen with all the options saved that was selected for the previous report. There have been a couple changes to billing entry. The first one is when editing bills inside of interactive billing, there is now the ability to select Next and Previous. This is accomplished by pressing the Next button and the Previous button, or Page Up or Page Down buttons on your keyboard. When pressing the Service button inside of billing entry, the program now shows all of the available service information instead of just the rate information. The information on the screen is now the same as what the user would see when viewing the service in customer maintenance. There is the ability to view the rate information and for metered services, access to meter information, usage, graph, and handheld information. When adding a change out to the system, there is now the ability to have the system estimate the new reading for the old meter. As in this example, through work order maintenance, adding a change out type work order, there is a new estimate checkbox next to the new reading field for the old meter. When this box is checked, the system will prompt for proration. This proration screen will display to the user to indicate that the proration is needed, and if so, the user will need to enter in the days in the billing cycle and days of service. The days in the billing cycle will be pulled forward from the days in the billing cycle in the proration area inside the system controls. Once this information is entered, the system will generate the proration percentage. The system will then calculate the estimated reading the way that it's set up to do. After the estimated consumption is computed, the consumption will be multiplied by the proration percentage to get the new consumption. This consumption will then be added to the old meter's old reading to calculate the old meter new reading. This calculated new reading can be overwritten as needed. The user can also enter in their own estimated reading and check the box to indicate that it was estimated. The only time that the estimated calculation will occur is if there is no reading in the old meter new reading field. Once the changeout appears in the billing entry screen, inside of interactive billing, viewing or editing the bill, In the grid that lists the detail of the billed services, if the old meter new reading is marked as an estimate, an orange E will also be displayed in the bill pay history billed items grid on the service information usage tab next to the new changeout read field. An E will also show on the billing edit list and billing journal next to the changeout new reading fields. Please note that estimating the old meter's new reading does not flag the entire bill as an estimate. It only flags the old meter new reading as estimated. When performing a changeout, either through billing entry or work order maintenance, there is now the ability to change the serial number field. In this example, adding a work order for a changeout, when the changeout readings button is selected once the work order has been completed, the serial number field can now be changed. For users with meter maintenance, the serial number associated with the meter will be shown on the changeout screen. During the 16.0 conversion, the billing file and work order files will get the new serial number field populated from the current serial number assigned to the service, except for users with meter maintenance. These users will have the new serial number populated from the meter maintenance file. A new usage analysis report has been added to the system. This report is similar to the high-low use report, but is based off of bills that are pending to be updated. This program allows the user to adjust the over and under percentages to determine which customers show on the report. There are also two additional options that can be selected: compare current usage to previous 2 billing periods, or compare current usage to previous 2 years with the same month. A report subtitle can be entered in for this report. As an example, to preview this report, we now have 2 customers that are shown here that are labeled as a high usage. Inside of the Bill Print options screen, the system now requires that multi-property bills must be processed separately from regular bills. To accommodate this, the checkboxes for only print multi-property bills and exclude multi-property bills have been changed to radio buttons. When the only print multi-property bills is selected, a new multi-property ID range has been enabled. This allows the user to search for a multi-property ID range. The program was also changed so that all of the individual bills for the multi-property will come out grouped together in book and account order. They will also all have the same address as defined in the multi-property account. The actual printed multi-property bill has also been changed to now print the multi-property ID at the top of the bill instead of the book and account number. The book and account number for the associated properties will still print on the bill. This new multi-property ID is what will be used when processing a payment. For users that use Crystal reports to print the multi-property bill, they will want to change the stub portion of the bill to now include the field called MP-BILL-ID. For users that use the Bill Print to File option, the Social Security number field has been changed to the multi-property ID. The documentation has been updated to reference this change. The field is in the same location and the same size as the Social Security number, so no changes will need to be made from the print services other than the documentation. However, they might want to modify their bill print to now include the multi-property ID on the forms if they already have not done this. Inside of the CAS certification options screen, for the export addresses, there is now an option to include the multi-property addresses. There is also a multi-property ID range on the export screen. The import program has also been modified to now change the multi-property address information. For the high-low use report, under the billing options, the program has been changed so that the percentages are only enabled for the service types that the user has. All other services will be disabled. The headings have also been changed so that the percentages will only print for the service types for that user. The detail lines have also been changed to now include either an H or an L after the current usage field to indicate if it is a high or low usage. Located underneath the customer reports, a top usage charges report has been added to the system that allows the user to print a list of the top customer accounts for a selected due date range for a specific metered service type. The user defines the number of top customers to list on the report with a maximum of 999,999 top customers. The report can be printed for customers with the top usage, top charges, top average usage, and top average charges. If the report is being printed for either the top usage or the top average usage, the billed usage will be multiplied by the rate's charge usage factor to normalize the usage before determining the customer's ranking. The customer's ranking will appear on the report, and the customers will be listed in the highest to lowest order. The top usage charges report has a task pane item on the customer's task pane. It also has a menu item on the customer report's menu. The user can also set up preferences for this report. The report can also be sent to Excel if the system has the data dictionary module. When processing the penalty billing and the preview option is selected, a new print button has been added to the penalty preview window that will print the penalty preview list, which is a report of all the penalties shown in the grid on the penalty preview window. A sample is shown on your screen. In simple batch or batch receipt posting, under the change function, a new option for pay type has been added to the system. This change pay type function gives the ability for the pay type for a group of payments to be changed. When first selected the options screen for the change pay type, the user can define the book and account range, can select different transaction types, key in a pay type range, batch ID range, and initials range, and then once OK is selected, the user will be prompted with a list of the customer payments. The user will then check the boxes of the customers that will be presented to be changed for a new pay type. Inside of the batch receipts posting or receipts posting programs, when viewing, editing, or adding a payment for a customer, when pressing the service button, It now shows all of the available service information instead of just the rate information. The information on the screen is now the same as the user would see when viewing the service inside of customer maintenance. There is the ability to view the rate information, and for metered services, access to the meter information, usage tab, graph, and the handheld information. Inside of simple batch payment posting, the entry of multi-property payments has been changed to work with the new multi-property ID that has been added to the system. Now when a multi-property payment is entered, the user has the ability to enter in the multi-property ID or use the book and account fields. When the user uses the multi-property ID option, the program will list any customers with the multi-property ID that has a transaction that falls within the due adjustment date range that has been entered. When the book and account option is used, the program will find the multi-property ID assigned to the customer and load all customers with the same ID that fall within the date range and have a balance. Under the File, Preferences, for Batch Update and Simple Batch Update, preferences have been added to the batch update programs for the agency range, terminal ID range, user initials range, and the transaction types. This allows for the user to set defaults for when that screen is opened. Note, these preferences are set for a user basis. Under File, Utilities, Security, for users that are labeled as a work order technician, a new option has been added in the system to check for today's appointments at login. So as an example, if the user Bill is to log in to Cubic, if they have current appointments that have been issued to them, at the login, the work order appointment screen will automatically pop up onto their computer. From here, they can edit, view, or print their work orders out that is assigned to them. If no work orders are present for that appointment date, then this screen will not pop up when they log in. Also, when accessing a work order, there is a new service information button next to the service detail information. When this button is pressed, the screen that is shown is the same as the view services inside of customer maintenance. There is the ability to view the rate information, and for metered services, access to the meter information, usage, graph, and handheld information. Inside of the system controls, under the General Menu Options, under the Work Orders tab, a new option has been added to suppress the grid lines in the comments and/or the resolution comments on the statement and new statement forms along with the emailed work order. Also in the System Controls, under the Features tab, when inside the eWork Order Information button, a new option to select is Append Service Address to Subject. When this option is selected, the customer service address 1 will be appended to the subject that the user defined in the email. It will be formatted as subject-service address 1. Note that the subject field is a 256 character field. If the subject the user enters combined with the service address will be longer than 256 characters, the service address will be truncated. Inside the System Controls, under the Features tab, there have been an option added to the emails throughout the system to set the email to high importance. These emails are ACH email, send e-bill notifications, send e-customer statements, send e-delinquent notices, and the work order form email. Since the emails were already being sent with high importance, this option will be turned on during the conversion to the 16.0. If the user does not want these emails to be sent with high importance, they can simply just come into these screens and uncheck the box. The Images fields, as an example under Notes, and attaching an image to a note, the system has now been changed to allow for files with the extension of .eml or .msg. These are formats for saved emails. When an image with one of these two extension types is selected, the program will use the system default application for files with those extensions to view the file. A system update has occurred on many menu and search grids throughout the system to now have an additional 5 rows of results in those grids. This will allow for more items to be seen on the screen at one time. Also, the backup and restore options. The options screen has been widened to allow for the path field to be longer. This will allow for more of the path to be visible when selecting where the backup or to restore from. This is the conclusion of the highlights of the major changes and new features found in Cubic version 16.0. We at FREY Company would like to thank everyone who responded to the Cubic survey and the beta testing of the product. The ideas and suggestions that we receive from our users are the driving force behind the changes that are implemented into the Cubic system. Thank you from FREY Municipal Software.